Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. All those things we didn't get to during the course of the show today, including a debate that we are having right now. Betty Rock and I have very difference of opinion when it comes to certain content that we could play on the air. And I was just hearing a song of a lady singing "Here Comes Santa Claus," and it's this lady that we kind of make fun of her voice because she sounds just like, I don't know, uptight, I guess would be a way to put it.
Was it
yeah, it was the voice lady.
Okay.
And so I heard that as "Here comes menopause, here comes menopause," and I really think that's funny. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And she goes, I hope you're not writing that down to do on the show. And I'm like, I absolutely am. And she's like, let me just tell you that's not a good idea. And I'm like, let me just tell you this is great. And so we are on different sides of the fence on this one.
How does this fit into the category? Like this, is this in the same category as we're on the Dove's red carpet?
Yeah.
We're doing Pictionary where people use their eyes to see what they're drawing, and you're
Yes.
like, oh, there's blessing off for a blind artist.
100%.
Time to get this guy over here. It's going to be funny.
And
He's
I go
gonna
right
get it.
for it. Yeah.
Do you think that this is in that ballpark, or
Maybe.
is this a little bit more touchy?
No, not even. 'Cause I think most women, as somebody that has a wife that's gone through menopause, women understand it. It's kind of like how you guys all understand you're going to wait in line for a restroom, and guys never do this. It's like, why is this going on? But women all have shared experiences, and I do believe that women that have gone through menopause, they laugh about it like some, because they have to, and like they can understand it. And so I said, well, Betty, maybe if it comes from you, it would be better. To which Betty said,
That's
What?
probably what she said, actually.
are you even listening?
Because there's no point. There's no
Well, no.
point in even having this conversation with you.
Why?
Because you're going to do it.
Of course.
So, okay.
But you can still have a conversation with
No,
me.
She's not
I don't
giving you
feel
what you
like
want.
it. I
Yeah.
don't feel like it. No.
Okay. So,
No.
Should I have it on her behalf? Should I be Betty here?
yeah.
You're
You
just
can't
gonna,
do that.
Yeah, there, yeah.
You're just going to do it.
Right, exactly.
Because when someone says you can't, you just will.
Well, no, because I just know there are certain things I know are good ideas, like getting blessing offered to do that. I know that's a good idea. I know people would talk about that.
Okay.
And so I did that. And so
Okay.
same thing here. That's why we all have different jobs. And I do appreciate your voice of reason. I appreciate you saying, hey, do you think this is a good idea? That way, if it's not, you can always go back and say, I said it wasn't a good idea. And I will say, yeah, she said it wasn't a good idea. And I did it anyway. But I think it's a good idea. We could let potties weigh in on this somehow, maybe, like a yay or a nay, maybe. What could we do? How could we do that?
Will that make you feel better?
It would, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, I can do some kind of like poll on it
Okay, yeah, if you wouldn't
and
mind.
tell people.
Like, yeah, is a "Here Comes Menopause" parody a funny idea? Should we do that on the show? And
What
then
if they say no?
If they say no, it'd have to be like an overwhelming no, because I'm pretty high on this idea.
Still
Once
is-
again, I stand
Yeah.
back on,
Yeah,
you
she's
know, it
right
doesn't,
about-
it doesn't really matter.
Right. But again,
You're going to do it anyway.
This is what I get paid to do. This is my part of the show. Like, this is where I get paid to come up with ideas and do them and do the things that no one else will do. See, that's the thing about this job. Like, do you think KSBJ is going to do this? Absolutely not. That's our
K-Love
sister
or
station, or K-Love,
any
like
other
all
station.
like other stations. And maybe they wouldn't do it because it's not a good idea. I don't know. But like, I feel like it could be funny. And here's the thing I'm thinking. This is where I think I'm smart, Rock. If I don't do a whole parody on it, where it's not a whole thing and it's just a real short thing, and I frame it as, hey, do you think this is a good idea? And then we play it. And then we could like have callers go, yeah, you should finish that song, or no, don't do that. Then I get content out of it. I still get it on the air. It's kind of like when news stations go, this video is so shocking, we've had to edit it, and they still play it. Like they give you the disclaimer, but they still get what they want out of it.
Be a little clickbaity here.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing. And so I
You've
think,
learned too much from TikTok.
yeah.
So you get on TikTok and
Sure.
they're like, promise you something. And
Yes.
you sit there and you watch the video
Whole
the
thing.
whole time.
Yeah.
And then you get angry
Yeah.
at the end because they didn't deliver
But
what
then
they
I will
promised.
deliver, though. See, that's the difference. That's the thing, man. Yeah, you're right about that. TikTok frustrates me. Like, the headlines are, woman has altercation with cops and gets the worst thing of her life. And then you're like, well, what's the worst thing of her life? She got a ticket. Like, it's not a thing at all. You clickbaited me. That I hate. So we'll deliver the whole thing. But anyway, so Betty Rock, I can put you down for doing the voice work for it.
No.
This is what I think you're going to want to. You're going to kick yourself for this decision.
Because this is what.
Yeah.
Maybe we can add that to the poll.
Okay.
Should I do it? Should I not?
Sure.
Fine.
That's fine.
But
would it be better coming from Betty Rock?
Yeah. But you should do it.
Okay. I like to celebrate you, and I like to give you opportunities to be great.
You like to throw me under the bus and do something and then apologize for it later.
No, I would record this with you, and we would do it so well. It would be beautiful. I think it might even be as good as the Christmas Magic song. I think it could drifting and falling. It could be a Christmas staple for people. Anyway, all right, so we will put a pin in that for now, and we will get on with the rest of the show. Jacksonville Jaguars, they had an employee who has been charged with fraud and stealing from the football franchise.
It's like $22 million.
$22 million. Like, I was expecting, okay, he stole $50,000. $22 million this guy stole.
How did he think that he could get away with that and no one noticed?
How did he?
Well, here's the thing. I did a little digging on this. They had a virtual credit card for the company, but he was the sole administrator of it. You cannot give somebody that kind of power. And so he was able to change the titles of purchases and move things around. He allegedly he did like luxury travel arrangements to hotels and stuff. He bought a $95,000 watch. But when you think of $22 million, $95,000 is nothing. He somehow bought himself a two-bedroom condo for $265,000 in Florida.
Is this guy young, old?
I don't know. All on the company credit card. He was able to figure all of this stuff out. Now, he did. Be sure your sins will find you out. He did eventually get caught.
How did he get caught?
I don't know. $2 million. Somebody went back and had to look at this, but $22 million. Not even $2 million would be staggering. $22 million. He did it over the course of a few years, though.
I wonder what his punishment is going to be.
Oh, boy.
Because there's no way he can pay all that back.
No, and they're getting him like for wire fraud and, things like that because it's hard to prove these things too. And so they're going to get him on something else, but it is a federal prosecutor that's going after him because of the extreme nature of it. But $22 million the Jaguars lost. How are they doing this year? Are they in and out? Are they in contention?
I think they're 9-4 or 8-4. Like they're a good team. Their quarterback just had a bad ankle sprain. So he'll miss a few weeks.
Okay,
now.
that's to do with like a long hair, like a mullety kind of guy.
L'Oreal style.
Yes.
Beautiful hair.
He, I have something we're going to talk about tomorrow, God stuff on this. He got hurt, and one of the members from the opposing team, the defensive end, Trey
Henderson.
Yes. He, knelt down and prayed for him.
I did see that.
Which was really cool. So we're going to talk about that as far as God stuff tomorrow on the show. But okay. Well, there you go. Lady Rock, what do you got?
Casey Wilson, she's an actress. I looked to see, because she was in a recent podcast interview, she talks about Tim Allen, because she starred with him in the Disney Plus TV series, The Santa Clauses.
Oh, the TV series. Okay, yep. I've only seen like half of one episode.
Have you seen it?
No, I've not touched it.
People love them, though. I have a friend that really loves it, but I loved the franchise. And I like that he's in it, but I don't know. The TV show, I was like, I don't know. I got tired. When that came out, I was tired of everything being episodic.
Wow, episodic.
Thank you.
Nice. Well, he hasn't had the best reputation when it comes to being on set, especially with kids.
Really?
Like recently, he had talked about how he didn't like having kids on set. And to be Santa Claus in the Santa Claus movies is kind of ironic. But in a interview he had done some years ago, he talked about his experience with kids on the set and them asking him questions as Santa.
So these kids are asking me, they're asking me questions. What does Santa eat? What comes out of my mouth? I said, reindeer, I guess. It's the best I could come up with.
That's funny.
So it goes even further now. He hasn't had a good reputation on set with adults. So Casey Wilson, the actress that I mentioned earlier, she stars in the Santa Clauses show with him, and she says in an interview, in one of the scenes, Tim Allen is dressed up as Santa, but he's coming down the chimney. She thinks he's a burglar. So she starts throwing things at him, okay, because she thinks he's an intruder.
Right.
Well, in the middle of that scene, Tim Allen goes over to the producer of the show, who is standing 4 feet from him and this Casey actress, and he says to him, quote, "You got to tell her to stop stepping on my lines." So, I mean, he's at a situation where she can hear him.
Right.
Like, why didn't he just say that to her?
Right.
The producer turns to Casey and says with horror on his face, can you stop stepping on Tim Allen's
That's
lines?
such a high school thing or elementary school thing.
And then she even goes on to say that everybody was walking on eggshells because of him. He was rude. He never made eye contact. He never said anything. It was just super uncomfortable.
That's interesting. Like some of the best, it's weird because some of the best actors are difficult people, but that's kind of what makes them great actors. You know, like you watch him and he's so likable and he's really good, but some of the process of being good, people don't understand. Like, I don't want you stepping on my lines. I don't want you getting me out of character. I don't want you, doing this or being intense.
Yeah.
And people don't like that.
But if you were in a similar situation and someone acted that way towards you,
Yeah.
you wouldn't like it.
Yeah, like when I was on the set of I Can Only Imagine. Sorry. You brought it up.
You were the problem, is what you were on the set.
I need room temperature water.
And they're like, "Sir, you're only in this for 3 seconds."
Oh, I know. And the fact that I had my own trailer as a dressing room was
ridiculous.
Honestly, Rock.
You had to share it with someone.
No,
didn't
I
you?
did not. I had my own. It was so ridiculous.
You made it your own.
No, it was literally had my
Okay.
name on it. Like,
Sure.
Look, it was bad. Like, I fully understand that I'm not deserving of any of that. And
Especially when you didn't deliver like they wanted you to.
that's debatable. But no, I understand like people who see, like, say our show, for example, from the outside. Joy, who does afternoons on Way FM, does middays now. She was doing afternoons. She does middays now. She is one of like the most kindest, sweetest, joyful people. But she also is the most easily shocked person on the planet.
Yes.
At everything.
Yes, at everything.
And so
yeah.
there are times where, like, you'll tell her something that we've done on the show or I've said, or she's in a meeting with us and I say something, and she's just like,
Yeah.
like, how do you do that? Like, what's it like working with him? But you've done it for 16 years, and you're not going to stay here if you don't enjoy doing it. I don't care how much the money is worth, right? Like, you're not going to stay here for this long because you see it differently, you know? You know that I'm intense, but I'm intense because I care about what I do, and I, like, expect everyone to be pulling their weight.
But I don't think that if it's a brand new show and she might have just had this one, I don't know.
Sure.
I've never watched the show, so I don't know how many episodes she's been on or if she's a main character. But you don't have that time to build that relationship with someone. So if they come across that way on the first go round, yeah, it's going to be a little tough to swallow.
And it's interesting her going all in like this because in Hollywood, I mean, this kind of stuff bites you. Like I remember when we were working before I was in I Can Only Imagine, we were in California, my partner and I, and we were pitching TV shows. And we had a TV show that basically got stolen. We pitched it to a production company, and they took the idea and then built their own version of it. And it was really frustrating. And I remember talking to our agent, and he goes, "You can make an issue of this. Absolutely, you can. But you will never get anything sold in this town. So chalk this one up to experienced boys come up with another idea." Because you have to be very careful in that world. And so her coming out and saying that to whatever the rest of the world thinks is a nice guy, or a guy that's been in the business for a long time, saying that he's not a nice guy and he's hard to work with as being a lesser actress, that's risky. Honestly, like she could be shooting herself in the foot.
She could, and I would say too that interview that she did was on a podcast that doesn't have a good word in the title.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so I think it was expected of her to be this hard
maybe.
woman that's like not going to take people's
Okay. Stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I think sometimes, too, people go on podcasts thinking, okay, it doesn't have the biggest reach. It's a podcast. It's informative. It's fine.
Yeah.
We can say what we want to say.
But now it's in the prep service, and now people are talking about it, and it doesn't look good.
Because things can catch legs. They grow legs on you, man. Sometimes things that you do or say, even on a podcast, or especially once it's recorded on the internet. I mean, it's there forever.
Yeah, you can't take it back.
Like some of the stuff that we've said, like, oh my goodness. I mean, we had stuff when I worked in mainstream radio. We had stuff that lived on the internet probably 3 years after we had left the show we were on, and it came back around to haunt my friend who was the host of the show at his new station. people were trying to cancel him because of something we had said 3 years earlier, you know, and it was a different time. Like you could do different comedy then, you know, but it seems like it's brand new. Like, oh, look what this person just said. It's like, that was a long time ago. But the internet
It's like
has
the
a
tweets
memory.
people are bringing back up 10 years later.
100%.
Like, oh, gosh.
I do believe you need to look at all that stuff because it's so easy to cancel people. And we were talking about a story the other day of somebody that was like, yeah, it was a while ago and they were trying to cancel this lady. But it's like you have to look at their life since then. You know, has it been a mirror of all of that? And then you go, okay, where there's smoke, there's fire. Or that was a moment in time. You know, they were 19 or 20 and they said something dumb. But in the last 5 years, their life hasn't reflected that, you know. And so you got to give people a pass and you got to give them the ability to grow.
I think a lot of people have the responsibility to bring it to people's attention.
Right, because they want to tattle on everybody. The whole cancel culture is like the kids that tattled on everyone in elementary school that no one liked, and they grew up to be adults that no one likes, and they just got to tattle on everybody. It's crazy because they feel like this superiority or like they're doing the world a service. They want to be felt. They want to be made to feel like they're special when honestly they're just a little tattletale. You know. So anyway, what do you got for that? Felt good. That wasn't even a crazy rant, but it felt good. Get in there. Okay, mix it up a little. Let's mix it up.
Come
Let's
on,
spar.
Shay. Come on, Shay.
All right, what do you got, Lady Rock, for
Okay,
birthdays?
so I've got 3 birthdays.
Oh, great.
3?
What a day.
Anna and Barry want to wish their son, Peter James, a happy birthday.
Peter, James, and John.
Yeah, PJ.
Oh, PJ, too.
Peter is a joy-filled little boy turning 1.
Oh.
He spent 20 days in the
Big day.
NICU
NICU, okay.
after birth, but is so strong now he loves his doggies, singing at the top of his lungs and
Nice.
giving sloppy
wonder if they
kisses.
love
You got to be happy as a parent that when your kid spends any time like in the NICU and they come home, like that's a big stinking deal. So congratulations
scary.
for the family. We're happy for you and happy birthday. Many more to come.
Neil, Amy, Caleb, and Abigail want to wish Noah a happy birthday. Noah is an amazing son and brother. We are so proud of the young man he has become and can't wait to see how God uses his gifts and talents for the kingdom.
Love it. That sounds like a good
Happy
kid.
birthday. And then Elijah the Great.
Is this from Elijah?
I don't know. My super cute baby sister, Janie Joy.
Oh, okay.
Her name is Janie Joy.
Joy.
How
Oh, that's
cute.
That's
Joy is her middle
wonderful.
name. That's precious. Janie is the most beautiful, smart, and funny baby I know. She turns into the Terrible Twos today. And me and my family are so excited to have Sassy Girl running around all the time. She is the best.
Nice. I love
Sassy
it. That's
girl.
nice of the brother to do that.
Janie Joy.
Yeah, Elijah the Great, you are great.
Question for Wally, since he is the only one that has a kid.
Uh-oh.
What was the most terrible 2 thing your daughter Haley did as a toddler?
My daughter waited till she was 3 to become a terrible 2. Like she was a late bloomer, but she made up for that time. She held it all in, and then she was difficult at 3. She was great at 2. I'm like, oh, we're sailing through this. This is awesome. And then 3 hit, and you're like, you are the devil.
What'd she do?
El Diablo. She would wake up every day from her nap. I don't know what.
Sounds like you're not over it yet.
No,
Still.
I'm still mad. She would wake up every day from her nap, and my wife and I we literally called her the devil because for whatever reason she would wake up and she was just mean as a snake, yelling, screaming, throwing herself on the ground. Ooh. We're like, what in the world? And so we had to manage that, you know. And like when she would, if she fell asleep when we were out, we'd wake her up. We're like, wake up. We're like poking her with sticks and stuff, like in the back of the car seat, because we knew we had 3 more places to go, and if she fell asleep, El Diablo's coming out. And so like we made sure like that we kept her awake, kind of like you do with Beans and Rayford. You keep them awake so they're not crazy at night.
Yeah. And I need to start doing that again because I don't know what it is with Rayford, but I keep, little cat toys out for them to play with during the day while I'm gone.
Yeah.
But for some reason, while I'm gone, that's when they think it's
sleep.
time to sleep.
Yeah.
And when I get home, that's when they want to play.
Yep.
And when I go to bed at night, I've had to start putting up all the cat toys because Rayford will sit there and play with all of them.
Yeah.
While I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, you need a camera in your house that you could talk to them.
Yeah.
Like
just
log
keep 'em
in
up.
and talk to them, keep them up, keep them moving. Yeah. Hey, boys, it's Mama. I'm watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, would you say that was the worst thing Haley's ever
No,
done?
the worst thing she did was she threw a tantrum. I've talked about this before. She threw a tantrum at a restaurant. and I'm not playing that. I never played that. And like parents that sit there and try to rationalize with their kid when they're throwing a tantrum in a store, I've never understood. Now, Timmy, let's use our words. Are these good words? Are we going to use good words now? And the kid's like just screaming face down. You grab that kid by the shirt and you go, Timmy, we're going home. I told you we're going home. If you act up, we are going home. And that's what I did with her. I said, you act up and you are leaving and I'm leaving with you. And she did it again. And that was it, man. Whoosh, I snatched that kid up so fast she looked like she was being abducted. Like it was crazy.
People start calling 911.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I still remember we were at Mimi's Cafe. And,
what did Marty do?
Oh, Marty was like,
you know.
absolute. Marty's face. Well, the people we were with were shocked. Like it was
y'all
all
were with people.
Oh yeah, we were with like a whole group of moms and stuff, and like they were all like, "Oh, he means business." And so I'm like, "Absolutely, you don't tell a kid if you keep acting up, we're leaving and not leave." Poosh, gone.
Yeah.
And I left, but I had the money, so somebody else had to pay for Marty's meal. I got mine to go. Then my lovely angel of a daughter, the devil, proceeded to kick my meal out of my hands as I put her in the car seat. Oh yeah, talk about. I about lit up in the parking lot.
I would have lit up.
Yeah,
for sure.
I had to buckle that kid in, and it's a good thing I was in the front of that car, because police would have been called.
Man.
Yeah, it was bad.
That does kind of speak to like being a parent, and in those moments when people are like, "How could you hate your own kid?"
I know.
How could you be so mean to your kid?
How can you spank your
How
kid?
can you do all this if you 24/7 are having to deal with El Diablo for a whole year?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you keep your sanity?
I will tell you this though, like that was the one and only time I had to do that because I set the boundary and she knew the rules, you know. And when you tell a kid, I've seen so many parents say, well, you're going to lose Christmas if you keep acting up. And then the kids know they're getting Christmas. Yeah. But the parents...
Except for
my brother-in-law.
Your brother-in-law actually did do it.
3 or 4 years, his kids were the worst and acting up, and he kept telling them, no Christmas, and they always got Christmas. And then one year, they woke up to nothing. He returned everything.
Wow.
And it looked like the Grinch came through that house. He took down the tree. Like, it was glorious.
Your threat has to be authentic.
Did it work?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like they
legit worked.
straightened up
because next
they
year
were older, right?
They were too old to be acting the fool, yeah. And so like the next year they knew, and like they're great kids now, you know. But like it took a drastic thing.
I'm not a parent, but I did work in daycare, and I saw the difference between parents that set boundaries and parents that didn't.
Absolutely.
Because your kid, like, you have to set boundaries as a daycare worker because you have too many kids to answer to.
Yeah.
And so they know the rules and they'll hopefully abide by them because there's no other choice. And so, but with the parents, it would be shocking to see how the parents would be like, I don't know how you get him to just be so good here because at home I'm just fighting tooth and nail to get him to do one little thing. It's like, well, we don't take it, you know, like it's either you know the punishment. If you do this is what's going to happen. But there are some. I have friends on both sides. Friends who are great about being moms and setting boundaries, and they tell them what's what, and those kids will mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have friends on the other spectrum that are like, now let's use our words.
You're right.
And that kid has reign all over that place.
Yeah, and you're not doing your kid any favors because the world is not going to be like, Timmy, let's talk about this. How are you feeling?
Right.
Like the world's going to like kick him in the face, you know? So while it's hard to be, you know, you don't want to be your kid's best friend. Now, there is a balance. I do believe there's a balance. Like you can be so hard on your kid that they rebel against you, you know? And so that's a tough thing. Like there was a point in time where my wife Marty and I each were like looking at each other, and my daughter was young, and we're like, are we being too hard on her? You know, are we expecting that she's going to always never misbehave and always be a perfect child, you know? And so we had to look at that and go, all right, maybe we are being too hard, you know, in some areas, and dial it back and find that middle ground between being their best friend or being an authoritarian dictator. You know, I think you got to fall in the middle of that.
Right, because like you said, you want them to turn out to be a good citizen, not someone that just tries to get their way on everything.
I mean, I would love for someone to do a study on the home lives, and this is going to get really serious for a minute, on the home lives of active shooters, things like that. Like, do a study on that. Interview the ones that have not killed themselves or been killed by police, and interview them and see if there's a commonality. see if how they were raised, if it was authoritarian that drove them this way, or completely liberal that allowed them to do just whatever they want, or inactive parents. I'd be really fascinated to see if there's a correlation.
I've done some research on my own on a few cases, and the ones that I've read, one of them was the shooter was raised by his mom, a single mom. She couldn't handle him, so he went to live with his grandparents.
Yeah.
And then he did the shooting.
Right.
But grandparents, I mean, they're older. They've done their duty with their own kids. And
if you've already had no limits and then grandparents try to set limits, then you're going to rebel against that even harder. So, yeah.
And then there was another one where the shooter had a dad in his life, but the dad was super strict, super authoritative, but he couldn't get away with anything.
That's the thing. I would be really fascinated to see what, because the thing about these things, they're so tragic. I mean, there was just one at UNLV, and that was a weird one because that was a professor you were telling me. I didn't see that. Holy moly.
He went in for a job.
Yeah.
They didn't hire him.
Yeah.
And he decided to just let loose.
At some point in time, though, like the HR person needs to be heralded as like they didn't hire the guy, and if you saw something and you made the right decision. I mean, it turned out like really horrifically, but who could predict that? But at least the HR person was like, no, this guy's not a good hire. But yeah, I would tend to think that if you look at a lot of these active shooters, you're going to find some sort of breakdown in family. I think that would be a common denominator.
I think so too, because if you look at the 50s and the 60s, I mean, every generation has had its issues. I'm not saying any generation is perfect, but I would say that it seemed like there were more families that were intact back in generations past.
Right.
And so you didn't hear about active shooting and things like that.
No.
But as the world keeps turning, you hear more and more about the divorce rate and how there are unplanned pregnancies and things like that. And so if kids are getting raised by a single parent, that is tough.
That's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, we're not going to solve that problem today.
Happy birthday!
Yeah. But if anybody has any insight into that, I'd love to hear it, honestly. So, all right, that's going to do it for your Aftercast for today. Merry Christmas.
Why are you saying like that?
Just because we came off of that really heavy subject.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, he went from terrible twos to
Yeah, we did. To
say
shooters.
it like Haley as a 3-year-old.
oh Diablo.
Oh, Diablo. Say it like Haley as the Diablo.
Oh, yeah. That's your peanut butter! She had this real guttural thing. Yeah, it was really weird. It was possession.
The Exorcist.
It really was.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Growing up in poverty has never been easy for children, but with the added challenges of the pandemic, conflict, and natural disasters, families around the world are facing an unprecedented food crisis. Unfortunately, those who are already hungry are now even more desperate. But by sponsoring a child through compassion, you can help provide life-sustaining essentials such as food and clean water. And with your compassionate support, that child can not only survive, but also flourish. You can find out how and choose a child to sponsor when you click on the compassion banner at wayfm.com.